Give me your name, your age, and your occupation.
I'm Eva Erickson, I'm 23 years old, and I'm a PhD student in engineering in fluid and thermal science.
That's a mouthful.
Yep.
So talk to me about what exactly that involves.
So my research for my thesis is on how seals use their whiskers to locate objects in water and how that can be implemented in sensory tech for the Navy.
I feel like I was like, okay, here's an explaining sentence. I got an even more confusing sentence from it. That is incredible. What does that involve for you? Is it all research? Is it hands-on experience with the seals?
Unfortunately, I don't work with live seals, but I do a
Purely
lot of
metaphoric
experiments.
seals.
I have a big scaled-up seal whisker model that I
Mm-hmm.
put in a very large water flume. It's like 2,000 gallons, and I do different experiments to see its vibrational profile in response to disturbances. So I'm basically creating a fake fish, flapping, and then have my seal whisker respond to it by vibrating in different ways. So we can ultimately create a sensor that's very sensitive to different types of disturbances.
How on earth did you find your way into this? Is this obviously science, I imagine, is your passion, but is this a part of science you've always wanted to work in?
Not specifically seal whiskers, but...
you never know. Every pop for a leg.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Well, my previous research was also in centipede locomotion. So, I mean, I feel like I'm a step up from bugs now, but I wanted to study physics when I was an undergrad because I loved nature, which sounds really contradictory. But growing up, I loved animals so much, and I was really good at math. So I was like, how can I combine those two things? And so I wanted to go into physics of living systems. And so that's what I studied at Georgia Tech. And then from there, I was able to get involved in really cool research that allowed me to do bio-inspired robotics.
Wow, so then what's the end goal here, if any? Or is it just kind of like, keep your head down, get through the seals, and then see what happens next?
I mean, there's a lot of different pathways I can take. I'm getting a really elite degree from a great school. Brown is an Ivy League school, so I feel very lucky to have this opportunity. So there's a lot of opportunities for me to do things in aerodynamics or fluid dynamics, going in those pathways, maybe continuing in military research. But something that I've thought going forward that I might be interested in transitioning to is, instead of doing animal research, doing more about humans and specifically sports equipment. I love hockey so much. That's a huge passion of mine.
Yeah, so I read that you have
yeah.
that as like a side job, right? You're an official for games?
Yep. Well, I've played hockey my whole life. I'm still playing hockey. And then I also am an official. I'm an NCAA Division I hockey official, so I'm a linesman. And I also do a ton of USA hockey national tournaments. They bring me around the country. So that's like my side gig as well as my PhD.
How much did it kill you to be out here for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup?
Oh my God. I was dying. I couldn't believe that it made it to a Game 7. And like after the first 3 games were all to Florida, I was like, oh, I'm going to see the end of this. No, of course. Then the Oilers come back, bring it to a Game 7, and I'm like, I'm going to miss it. I cannot believe I'm missing it. So my dad said he would tell me
I was going to say, like, do you want to know or do you want to wait?
I do know. I was told.
Know. Okay.
I did. I mean, I was talking to all the crew that's been around and asking people. I wore an Oilers shirt the first day, so a few of the guys were asking me if I was...
The curse remains, yeah.
Yes! Oh my gosh, I was so sad to hear Florida of all places. Ugh. I did not want Matthew Tkachuk to get a cup, but here we are.
Well, let's talk about what's bringing you from the ice to the heat of Fiji. Why Survivor?
I mean, so many reasons. First off, it's a crazy adventure. I mean, we're out in the most beautiful place I've ever been, and just getting to be in nature, that's crazy. That's so cool. I love the outdoors, so that's a big experience. And then I'm so competitive. I've been an athlete my whole life. I've always been so driven, and this is the biggest competition I'll ever be a part of. It's such a unique experience where I'm competing and living, again, with people I don't know, and I'm battling the elements as well as these people, and it just brings together to this huge sporting event to me that I'm like, I want to win.
Yeah. How long have you been watching Survivor? What's been your history with it?
I'm pretty new to Survivor, actually.
Okay.
I only started watching it in college because my teammates at Georgia Tech created a Survivor drinking game where we played Survivor but with drinking game challenges. So like Flip Cup and Pong, Defend the Castle, all these classic drinking games, but we had tribes. We're playing against each other, and then if your tribe lost, you voted someone out, same as Survivor. We hid an idol around the house.
You hid an idol?
Yep, we had tribal council where we're having someone be Jeff, asking questions, and so it was a big thing. We did this several times, and the first time that I played it with my teammates, I won. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do it in the real game too.
How long did this last for? Was this a one-night thing? Or
We would make a whole night of it. Like, it was like a big thing where we'd start at like 5 p.m. and then we had like all the challenges mapped out and the like breakdown of tribes and everything. It was very, very fun.
That's interesting because I'm not sure if you know, but there are these sort of like live reality games where people will go play Survivor for a day. Yours is the most unique version I have ever heard in my life. I mean, like, you won't win $1 million, but maybe your like BAC level might be like $1 million.
Oh yeah, well the last challenge for our building fire to be part of the final 3 was everyone had to take a breathalyzer, and whoever was most sober was out.
Oh.
Yup. It was great. It was so much fun, and those guys are the best. We all watched Survivor together then as well. We kind of binge watched it during finals.
Gotcha.
And watching this, we would all be like throwing out our commentary, and the guys knew way more than I did. And we'd be seeing all these challenges where the female characters were so weak. These were really old seasons, and
yeah.
I didn't like these female characters they had casted, and the guys were all like, oh my gosh, they're so dumb, they're so weak. Eva, you're so much better than them. You could like kill everybody in this game. And I was like, yeah, I should do that. And so they're really the ones that like encouraged me to go try and do this.
Well, speaking of looking back, across Survivor history, if you could give me a winner and a non-winner who you identify with the most, personally, strategically, who would that be?
So the 2 characters that I think I really identify with were Denise. She won. She was from Minnesota like I am, and she was a challenge beast. That woman, she was small, but she was so strong and fierce. And so I really liked her. I thought she was super cool. And I was like, you know what? I want to be like that woman. And then someone more recent is Lindsay. And she also was a very strong competitor. And she had a good alliance with Jonathan, I remember, throughout. And who were 2 very strong players. And I thought she was really cool. And she also played football. And I'm a woman on an all-men's hockey team. She was a woman on a men's football team. And so I also identified that with her as well.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because groundbreaking is probably putting it mildly, but what was that experience like for you, kind of breaking into that environment?
It was, I mean, it was crazy at first, because I was really nervous, and I was like, I'd been playing girls hockey all growing up. I'm from Minnesota, so there's just as much girls hockey as boys, and it's very high level, best hockey for women in the country. And then I went down to Georgia Tech for college, going there because I want to go to a great school, not for hockey. But I found out they had a men's hockey team. I was like, well, I don't want to give up on my passion of hockey. I'm going to try out. We'll see where I land. And I did. I made the team. And they do cut people. So it wasn't that they're just, oh, we have to let her on. I made the team. And at first the guys were kind of on eggshells a little bit. They didn't really know how to like handle having a girl playing with them. Like, they're like, can we hit her? Like, can we joke around the same?
This feels like the plot of like a Disney Channel movie from 1996.
For sure. And but I really showed them that I'm like, I'm here to play, I'm an aggressive player, and I can shoot the shit with them just like they can with anyone else.
Yeah.
And so quickly I like earned their respect and become one of the boys. And it was funny because one of the guys on the team, he was talking to me about how he can't talk to girls, and I'm like, well, I'm a girl, you're talking to me. And he's like, you don't count. Like, he's like, no, you're one of us, you don't count at all. And so I know that I'm just one of them, and they were the best support. They're great guys, and anytime that other teams often would target me because they'd never played against a girl, they see me, they're like, you don't belong. They would try to blow me up. They'd say terrible things to me.
Wow.
My teammates would always have my back, and they'd go fight them for me if I wasn't already fighting them myself.
Oh my God, yeah, penalty box is just stuffed with people that are there for the right reasons. So then, if I were to ask you what's one life experience you feel that has prepared you most for this, would it be that, or would it be something else?
Honestly, I feel like that is a big thing that has prepared me, because that also has grown my confidence in myself a lot.
Yeah.
And I've always been, everyone says I'm a very confident person, and I know I'm very like authentically myself all the time, and that comes from a lot of my autism. That is something that's very important to me, and it's because I don't change who I am for other people, right? Because I don't recognize the social cues to do that. So I'm just always me, and I think I've grown even more into that as I've gotten older, because I just accept that, you know, and go about, do what I want to do. And so joining men's hockey team, I was like, I like hockey, I'm going to go do that. And everyone became my friends. And then when I did the same thing, when I started my PhD, going to a new school, have to start all over with new guys, I was even more ready for it this time, because I'd done it before, and I was like, I know I can show up to this situation and I can thrive. And I've thrived so much that they've selected me as their captain for next season.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, being a girl captain of a men's team when everyone on the team was like, yes, 100%, you're who we want. There was no doubt that it was going to be anyone but me. And that felt amazing to know that they all respect me and all see me as one of them.
So then, when you find out you're coming out here, what was your prep process like? Because I imagine you're keeping things busy with the SEALs, but how much were you able to get ready for whatever this was, as much as you could in whatever way?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big balancing because I had a lot of lab work to do. I mean, I'm taking time off for my PhD, which is a very rare thing. It's a year-round thing. It's fully funded. I'm a fellow with the National Science Foundation.
Wow.
And so I have a lot of work to be doing. And luckily, my advisor allowed me to take this time, but I did have to submit a manuscript to him before I left. So that was a lot of work to get this put together. But then, in addition to that, I was training. I was building fires in my backyard all the time. In my little apartment in Providence, I'm building a fire. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy. I was training every morning. I've always trained every morning. I'm huge into lifting. That's for hockey. And so I just kept up that workout plan, changing it to adapt to different things. That I started fasting. I started limiting my food intake a little bit to prepare myself to have less. Still having enough to maintain my muscles and be strong, but knowing that I was going from having 4 meals a day as an athlete where I eat lots of protein, lots of food, knowing this is to fuel me, to then shrinking that down a little bit, smaller time frame. Now I was down to having only 2 meals, and one of those just being a smoothie before I came here, to prepare myself to know, okay, your body's gonna have to function on nothing, so let's dwindle it down a little bit.
How do you think you're going to be perceived in this game? Because it's clear, like, athleticism runs in your blood. You were just voted into this leadership position. How do you think people are going to look at you in the terms of how you fit into a tribe?
I definitely want to be seen on my tribe as an athlete. I do not want them to know that I'm also very intelligent. That's something that I'm going to keep hidden because otherwise I'm going to be too much of a threat.
So are you just like doing the generic answer, oh, I'm a student?
No, I'm going to say I'm an NCAA hockey official.
So you're fully steering into the hockey of it all.
Oh,
interesting.
For sure. Because you take one look at me, you can tell that I am very fit. I've got huge muscles, especially for a woman, and that's just my personality really shows that.
Yeah.
And so I can really lean into that, and nobody's going to look at that side of my life, be like, oh, she plays men's hockey, she's an official, she also is probably really smart and goes to an Ivy League school. Nobody's going to think that.
Yeah.
So if I really lean into this one aspect about myself, I think I can hide the other part and keep that to my advantage. So I am being strategic, I am working on different things, but hopefully they just see me as a physical competitor.
What would you say is your biggest superpower and your biggest piece of kryptonite that you're bringing from your life into the game?
Definitely my autism for both of those.
Interesting.
Yep,
double-edged sword.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing with autism, is that a lot of people think of autism as being something bad and that it's a big roadblock to success. But I believe that I would not have been as successful in my life without having my autism. Because I know it's provided me with so much drive, because I get these fixations on things, which can be very bad. But I've learned in my life to channel that towards my goals and using my fixated mindset to achieve what I want. And sure, there's also a lot of downsides. So that's where the bad part comes in. That yes, there are times when I'll get super overwhelmed and overstimulated, and that can have a very large physical effect on me. As well as there's other things with autism, like my inability to recognize social cues. I'm a very social person, have a ton of energy, love talking to people, but I don't pick up on the small social cues that everyone else does. And so this game where everyone's lying to me, a lot of that's going to go over my head. So that's where I have to really make sure I'm building strong alliances with people who I can trust to tell me the truth.
Well, on that note, let's talk about some people that hopefully you can trust in, because I'm sure you've been sitting around, you've been making eyes, you've been picking up vibes. Let's start on the positive side. Who are some people that you feel great about? That best case scenario, you're hitting the beach on day one, this is someone I could ride to the end of the game with.
Yeah. I mean, knowing myself and that I'm an athlete, and I look at everyone else in the view of an athlete. This is a competitive physical game as well as a mental game. I see people who look athletic, and I'm like, that's someone that I think I could work with, because oftentimes people who are very strong and are built, they're hard workers. You put in a lot of time and effort to get those muscles and to have that strength. And sports gives you lots of different morals that people who don't play sports don't have, about hard work and teamwork and many things in general. So I saw 2 guys over the last couple of days that I think I'd really like to work with. One of them, he's a black guy who looks very strong, great smile. Guy was wearing a lacrosse shirt at one point. I was like, lacrosse is pretty close to hockey. That's someone that I think I could get along with. That would be a great ally to have, as well as there's a Asian man who looks about my age as well, also looks muscular, another guy who's smiley. I like the happy people, you know.
Yeah.
And so seeing him too, I think he looks like someone who I could get along with. He just seems like a fun, nice guy. And so those are two people that I'm hoping I could get one of them on my tribe.
What's the biggest thing you value in an alliance partner?
Somebody that I can trust. Like I said, I'm not going to recognize lying. And so I want to have someone that I'm solid with, that I feel like I can trust and can look to like I look to my teammates. Because my teammates are like brothers to me, and I want to find someone who I can have that connection with, because especially at the beginning of this game, you are a team.
Yeah.
And sure, it's a very complex relationship, but at the ground root of it, you want to get further in the game, and that's their goal too. So how can we do that together?
Yeah, I mean, how much do you anticipate, conflict with that? This idea that you are coming from this team sport background where everyone is working together towards literally a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to butt up against this idea that only one person's going to make that power play at the end of the day?
I mean, ultimately, in sports too, there's a lot of competition that happens outside of just your team playing to win a game.
Uh-huh.
There's also the competition to make the team. We're all at tryouts together, and not all of us are going to make it. So I've gone through that with the people that we're teammates, we've been teammates, but also we're all competing for limited spots on a team, or for to be on the first line. There's different little aspects of competition within all of it that you're not always working towards that one goal together. You all have your individual wants as well. But it's just being able to balance that, because you can't be the asshole who's just being a dick to the rest of your teammates and because you want to be on the power play.
Yeah.
No, like you still have to be a team so you can all work together.
So let's look on the other side of things. Let's talk about maybe these assholes or dicks or whatever for other body parts you're perceiving. Is there anybody that you're picking up some either not good vibes from, or you can't read in particular? Any red flags you're getting from people?
I mean, there's people that I just think are annoying.
Please describe them to me.
There's this black woman who she just has been, we're supposed to be quiet, right?
Yeah.
And she's just often been like making little comments or doing little extra things that I'm just like, dude, chill. Like, and it's just been kind of getting on my nerves. So I'm like, that's someone that I'm kind of like, I don't think I would want to work with her.
Interesting.
There's also been a few people that I've still seen them wearing makeup and like big hoop earrings, and we're out already sleeping in tents every night. We're in the wilderness a little bit already. And I'm like, why are you still getting ready to look nice? Like, what? Like, it just seems very contradictory to my thoughts on this game. So these are people that I know that I'm very different from, so I don't think I would be working with.
When it comes to your thesis on Survivor, I mean, the new era is a lot to reference in terms of idols, advantages, journeys. How much are you incorporating that into your own sort of manifesto?
Yeah, I'm not good at finding things. I'm definitely not going to find an advantage. Like, I am the worst at looking for stuff. I always, whenever it's like, oh, like, where did I put this thing? And I spend forever looking for it, and then it's like the first place that I looked that I just didn't see, and I'm like, so I really doubt that I'll be able to pick out a tiny little idol hidden somewhere in the forest. So I'm kind of discounted that for my thoughts on what I'm going to be able to do. So I feel like I have to rely more on the rest of my gameplay instead of all these little additional things that you could find.
Would you ever volunteer to go on a journey which is less about seeking but more about decision making?
I mean, the hard thing about volunteering for something is that it does put a target on you. Like, you see that time and time again. So I'm like, I would not volunteer for a journey. However, I think if we lost the first challenge and it's doing sweat or savvy, I would volunteer for the sweat task because of two things. One, then I get to show that, look, I'm a physical player. I'm showing that I'm physical by going to do this big physical thing. And two, the other person who would go with me on that is also probably another strong player.
That's
so
true.
That gets me an opportunity to talk to someone who is going to be a potential ally because they have those characteristics that I look for.
Well, Hugh and Jelinski said that as well. We know what happened.
Oh, no!
Well, on that note, though, I do feel like Season 45 and 46 definitely felt like a definitive step from the first 4 seasons of the new era. I'm sure as you were finding out you were coming out here, you probably had one eye on those seasons, trying to find some takeaways to incorporate into your own game. What would some of those takeaways be?
Play your idol. Definitely play your idol.
So you won't be finding them, but you'll be telling people to play them.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, I can't believe so many people went home with idols in their pockets. That is ridiculous. I mean, that's for sure a thing that I'd want to do, because it's all just about, like, the little steps to get to the next thing. Because to me, I kind of think, here's going to be a big hockey analogy, but for the beginning of the game, when we're in our tribes, that is, like, regular season. The regular season, you're playing games, you want to win and stuff, but it's not, if you lose, it's not super bad yet.
Yeah.
But once you hit the jury, once we merge, there's the jury there, now all of a sudden you're in playoffs and you're playing for the Stanley Cup. So here's where you really kick it into gear. And in hockey, when it hits playoffs, all of a sudden everything's way more physical. It's way more intense. Everyone wants it that much more. And so the regular season is just, we got to get ourselves in a good position to make it to the playoffs. And then you really kick it into gear. So to me, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. That I'm like, I have to make it through the regular season. Got to like stay with my tribe. Hopefully I can make it through there. And then once we hit the merge, then it's really, game is on. I'm playing for the Stanley Cup.
What is your favorite moment in Survivor history?
Oh,
a lot to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite moment is kind of like a heartwarming one.
Okay.
In when Noelle, she had one leg and she had to go across a little balance beam.
Oh my god.
And she could not do it over and over, just kept falling off it, and she got so frustrated, and you could just see it, and I just felt so bad. I really liked her, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, she has to do it. Everyone else is way past that part of the challenge. They're all throwing their bags by now. And finally, she gets across that beam, she goes up, she throws her bags, like, one after another, lands all of them, and she won the challenge.
Oh my god.
And it was just, like, the biggest comeback story, and it just showed, like, so much heart and grit and dedication, and that she didn't give up. And that's how I want to play, is I want to be that person who doesn't give up. And, like, you're gonna get knocked down, and I see that, and I'm like, she got up, and she had one leg to get up on, and she still did it. Like, I think she's so cool, and I want to be like her.
What is your hottest Survivor take? What do you think is your most controversial opinion about a player, a season, the show in general?
I think that you should not be allowed to ask what someone's going to do with the money in the final tribal council.
Okay.
I think that should have that's no indication of how someone played. The rules are to outwit, outplay, and outlast. And that's what the jury should be making their decision based on, not on who needs the money the most or who do you think is going to use it the best. Like, no, it should be based on your gameplay, not outside factors.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough because you obviously get to know people out there and everyone has a reason to vote the way that they do, but it sounds like you're going to be more gameplay. Are you going to be checking the resumes, that type of juror?
Yeah, definitely, like, looking at, like, what did you actually do for this game, not, like, who's the most likable. I think it should be, like, how did you play? I'm checking the boxes. Did you win challenges? Did you make big moves? Like, not like, oh, you were really nice to everybody. I think that's just like a plus that keeps people from voting you off, but I don't think that should be a reason someone should win.
I'm going to throw an odd scenario in front of you. If you could bring a celebrity or a fictional character out as a loved one for a loved one's visit, who would it be and why?
Oh, I get to meet, like, any celebrity.
Any celebrity you want to, yeah. While you happen to be on Survivor.
Yeah, well, I happen to be on Survivor. Are they competing with me in a challenge, or I just get to meet them?
I mean, listen, blank canvas. You can do whatever you want with them.
Oh. I think I would love to meet Wayne Gretzky. I mean, he's the greatest hockey player of all time. I mean, at least for his era. And there's been...
Yeah.
Now the hockey players have definitely changed, but he is amazing, and I would love to get the opportunity to meet him. I think that he's just, like, a very cool guy to get to meet. So that would be someone I'd want to bring out here for sure. But if someone was going to be competing in a challenge with me, I think I would bring Connor McDavid. I feel like he's a crazy athlete. I mean, he just won the Conn Smythe without even winning the cup.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have him alongside me as my loved one to help win a challenge as I used to do. I
mean, the question is, like, you know, how deadly are they without skates on, though?
Oh, they're powerful people.
Yeah.
I mean, Wayne Gretzky's old now, but Connor McDavid, that man trains like a water buffalo. I don't know. He goes crazy.
Last thing I want to ask is that, obviously, 50's in the back of everyone's head. We know it's returnees. How are you going to make your mark this season so that we're going to be having a conversation a year from now for Survivor 50?
I'm going to win.
That's very simple. Yeah.
That's the game plan. I win, and you want me back.